Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Osborn. And on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned throughout the course of their business and share them with us that we can learn as well. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way established businesses are creating a reliable acquisition channel of conversation with their ideal prospects. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, endless social media posting, or any of these old, ineffective marketing methods that people just are tired of and hate. So if you want to find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn, have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborne. The link to that will be in the show notes below. But on today's show, I'm excited to have David Thomas on. David is the owner of Creating Presentation Rockstars, where he provides leadership presentation skills coaching. So David, thanks so much for being on the show today. And I want to start off by asking you a question that I always love to start with, which is this. If you were somehow able to go back to when you started your very first business, but knowing what you know now, what would you do differently in the first 12 months?
I think I would go for the top quicker. So for me, it's about I've always had the same approach, which is find out who is at the very, very highest level at anything I'm going to go for, whether back in the day it was memory skills, presentation skills, whether it's going on TV or writing books. So I've had a Sunday Times #1 best-selling book. And what I learned over the years is that the gap between me and the guy, or the person at the top, is not actually that great. But find out who it is or what it is, and then reverse engineer. And then actually, that's a quicker way to get to where I want to be if I want to go aim for the moon, rather than stepping forward a step at a time. But back in the day, when I started my business, I was a firefighter. I decided to do some speaking in the fire service. And so I just kind of did a bit here and a bit there, got in touch with local companies, organizations, did some free talking. It kind of moved forward quite slowly. I could have accelerated it a lot more if I'd have gone for bigger ticket stuff and just be prepared to put up with the rejection, which I kind of was. I mean, I never got bothered about getting turned down, but I just wish I'd gone bigger, quicker.
Mm, mm. What do you think stops people from doing that?
Oh, it's self-limiting beliefs. That's
Mm,
all. We all start doing, you're learning to play the piano and you're doing chopsticks, that dum 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 dum, like with two fingers. You don't look at somebody who can sit there with their eyes shut and go across the keyboards and the hands flash. And you go, you know what? Give me a couple of weeks. I can do that. You never
mm,
think that. You just sit and think, I've got some you don't think that it's you that's doesn't have the skill. You look at other people and think they do. And this comes from school. So when you're in school and you get in, say, C grade pass, 50%, you don't look at somebody who's getting 70 or 80 or 85 and think, you know what, I could do that with a bit of practice, a bit more hard work. Because the system, the school, the teacher says, no, you're going in the middle set, the top set, that's for the bright kids. And you just got, and there's a gap, and you can't fill it no matter how much you study.
mm.
Within a reason, you can't pass. So the fact is that those self-limiting beliefs kick in, and you just think that other people that are at the top have got skills you don't have that you would never probably be able to get.
Mm, yeah, yeah. So I love this whole thing, and I am very much in alignment with you on this. Is it's definitely just limiting beliefs around that. Um, what are some things that you have found that have helped you to be able to go to that top tier element or go directly to the top, as you say? Because some people, no matter how long they've been in business, may still be struggling with that of how do I actually like level up in the business? What are some things that you've done to be able to do that?
Just find the person and contact them. So,
Yeah.
I mean, when I decided to write a book, I wrote my autobiography in 2007, and what I did was, I found um, I went to got the Sunday Times bestsellers every week. And so what happened was I'm going, I don't want to write a book and it be read by 5,000 people. That's the average number of sales per written book, published book 20 years ago. So I thought, I don't want to do that. So what I do is I get the Sunday Times list, Sunday Times every Sunday. It's got the list of the top 10 bestsellers in each different area. So I'm looking at my genre, my area, And I'm thinking, who's already number one, number two, or in the top 10? I then go to Waterstones or W.H. Smith's bookshops in the UK, and I go and find the books. And then what I do is I open them up, and all of them have got the list of the editor. So what I did was, it's called a woman called Sally Potter. So the number one publisher was HarperCollins. The number one editor was a woman called Sally Potter. And all I did was phone them up. So everybody said, you'll never get a book deal if you don't have an agent or you don't have a ghostwriter. I'm like, I'm not paying all that money for that. So I just went and found the person. And then all I did was just contact them direct. So I literally phoned the reception at HarperCollins, one of the biggest publishing houses in the world. And I said, can I speak to, can you put me through to Sally Potter? And then the woman just said, is she expecting your call? And I said, yes. So they put me straight through. And so the key really was, Jason, is just to find the person who's already there and just find the shortest possible route. And that's what I did. And so that really embedded into me. Well, actually, it doesn't, it was the same going on the Oprah Winfrey show. You're from America. Oprah in the
Mm.
early 2000s, just an enormous presence across the globe. I managed to get on the show. How? I went on Oprah.com, found an email, emailed the show, sold myself in, and they booked me.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're saying that, I know a lot of people might go, "Oh, I can't do that," or you must have had some sort of leverage or credibility to be able to get in. And again, it's a self-limiting belief that people have around those things. But for anyone that's feeling that, I know, I believe I know what your answer is going to be, but I know people are probably thinking it. But what would you say if they're feeling that way, or they're already making excuses on why you were able to achieve that and they can't?
Well, this may not be the answer you're expecting, but just become absolutely bloody brilliant at what you do. Just become the
Yeah.
best that's just become amazing. So back in the day, I was a firefighter, couldn't pass my exams, saw a guy on TV, bought a book on memory. 8 months later, I go to the World Memory Championships. 2 years later, I break a Guinness record for reciting pi, the mathematical formula pi, to 22,500 digits. That was just pure grind. Because 5 years later at University College in London, my brain got tested and under an MRI scan. And what they found is that my brain is exactly the same as everybody else's. I thought when I could do all this crazy memory stuff that I would be able to, my brain was be constructed differently, and it wasn't. Same number of cells, same number of connections, same size, nothing. It was just down to training. So what I did was I bought this book, taught myself, trained myself, found, and just worked my way right up to the very best. And so back in 1998, just on the 1st of May, 18 years ago, 28 years ago, I was able to break a Guinness record. That was my calling card. So if you're good at something, find a way to be better in a recognized area. Because for nearly 30 years, being able to turn around and say that I broke a Guinness record, everybody knows Guinness records worldwide. I did pi, everybody studies that. And I've done 22,500 digits. Everybody goes, that's a lot. And so the thing is, it's a calling card. It's not about being brilliant at something, it's about being brilliant at something that people recognize. Become the best in your industry. Go for awards. If you're a financial advisor, become the best financial advisor in the country. Say that you are number one. And if you do those things, people will always respond well to you being the best. You'll get interviews, you'll get podcast interviews, you'll be able to write articles, you get book deals. But you've got to be the best.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that is what often scares people is, oh, I can't be the best. And I think what you're saying is strive to be the best. Do everything you can to be the best in your field. And what I find really interesting around all that is that it doesn't take a lot to be the best. I think people don't realize there's not many people at the top, and it doesn't take a lot to get to the top. People just aren't willing to put in the work and the effort to be able to get there.
No, they don't. And I'll say something slightly cruel. I kind of like that
Yeah.
because I have that. I'm nearly 60. I get up every morning, my head is on fire with ambition. And I'm nearly 60 and I have no mortgage and I live in a very nice house and I never need to work again. And where it came from, I don't know. My dad doesn't have it. My mother didn't never had it. My brother doesn't have it. My grandparents didn't have it. And I do. And
Mm.
I'm an atheist, so I don't think it's a God-given skill. It just happens to be that ever since I was a kid, I'll give you an example. When I was 14, I once, things were difficult at home. My mother's an alcoholic. So I just wanted to get out of the house. So I decided to go out for a run. So I did a little cross country run around some fields and I got myself a little kind of trail to run around. That was on
Mm,
one day. The second night, I went out and did the same run, but I timed myself. On the third night, I tried to beat the second night's time. Inside 18 months, I was the fastest cross country runner in the school. That's just innate in me. And I will put my hand up to that. I will say, if you don't have that level of burning ambition, kind of nothing else is going to work. Because the thing is, if you have that ambition and it burns inside you as much as it does me, then I don't see anything as being impossible. I will crawl over broken glass and eat raw liver for breakfast to get myself one step forward.
mm.
And I am fortunate to have that. So that is what drives me forward because all the skills I've been able to acquire and then you develop and adopt and adapt and pivot. A lot of it was hard work. It was just hard work, but I just had that drive and desire to be the best at what I do.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And it's really interesting as well, for anyone, so I grew up in a very religious background, and I think it's really interesting because some people will say, oh, well, it's a God-given talent or something like that. But here's the interesting thing, and I love what you said around this, is that it really doesn't matter if there's whether people believe in God or not, you still got to put the work in, you know, and because there's people and I know you will have come across this day, but there are people out there that do just have talent, whether people say it's God given or not, but they still don't succeed because they don't put the work and effort in, and so the talent just lies dormant. And then other people that seemingly don't have talent, you're like, how are they successful? It's because they've put in the graft and the grit and the all that stuff. So what you're saying is, I love it. It's absolutely spot on. Yeah, we can talk about this forever.
Yeah, I don't think you can teach it, actually.
No.
I'm afraid to say. And
Yeah.
unfortunately now, to bring it right up to date, this is a challenge I face when I occasionally go into schools. So I go into a few schools every year. I do motivational stuff and I'll talk about my background and what I've done and what I've achieved, but also share with them some stuff on accelerated learning, how to pass exams. And the biggest issue that we face with kids these days, 60%, recent study, 60% want to be YouTubers. Now, I absolutely get that 100%. Why would you not want to take the knowledge you've got, some experience
Mm,
playing a game or something you're passionate about, put it
yeah.
online? Why would you not
Yeah.
want to do that? But here's the problem, Jason. The fact is that what's made them believe they're going to be the next Mr. Beast is Mr. Beast. So he
Mm,
started at 11. The guy's what, 25, 26, maybe 15, 16 years later. He's now got a
mm,
holding company of $5 billion. And he's, as far as I'm aware, no shareholders, still owns it all. And so they can just go, well, I'll just make a few videos. But again, the guy was doing it, 25 hours a day, right? He was obsessed and driven and
yeah.
great and determination personified. And so that's where it comes full circle. But the challenge
Yeah.
now is that the kids look at somebody online, some guys who are making idiots of themselves and making an insane amount of money. And unfortunately, that's not going to be for everybody. Everybody's not going to be able to bridge that gap. So for me, my challenge as a kid was I didn't know what success looked like. I didn't know
Yeah.
anybody in the world who had earned 20,000 quid. I didn't know anybody who ran a business. I didn't know all my mates were electricians and plasterers and brickies. We all just,
Mm,
we went to the gym and got hammered on a weekend and we lived working class lives. I was living in a bed
mm,
set when I bought that book, which is like a
yeah.
studio in the States, one
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
That was my
Yeah.
life. So the
Yeah.
thing is, for me, I didn't know what success like, so I never had any ambition to be mega successful. Nowadays, it's gone to flick too far the other way. They think it's easy to be successful with a few videos.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely agree with you. And it does take that. I think it's so much more visible now with social media, YouTube, where that saying, I'm an overnight success, 10 years in the making. People just don't realize it does take time. And if you do go back and study Mr. Beast, and he's very open about it, the amount of absolute obsession that he had every waking hour of the day as he
And, and,
grew
I- and I'm
stuff.
and I'm going to interrupt Jason because this is a really
Yeah.
important point. Go back and have a look how many subscribers how long it took him to get the subscribers. So
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm a world-class memory guy. I can't remember, but after 5 years, he had like a few thousand. And
Yeah.
people look now and go, well, he's getting 300 million views a video. Go back to the beginning. Go back
Yeah.
to that first 16 months when he's banging out 2 or 3 videos a week and he's going nowhere and it's embarrassing and the kids are giving him grief at school and all that other stuff. And then come back and tell me that you've done that 5 year grind. And I'm afraid, in my experience, if you don't do that 3 to 5 years at the beginning, you're never going to enjoy the bit that comes after.
Yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree with you. Gosh, again, we could talk about this forever. So, I know you have to leave soon, but over the next 2 to 3 years, what are your goals? What would you like to achieve with the business?
I want to increase demand. That's why I'm doing the podcasts, interviews.
Mm.
Being dead blunt, I'm just going to raise my profile. So I've trickled along underneath. I've been very successful. I get lots of fantastic clients. Literally today, in 10 minutes, I'm going to be speaking with a billionaire in Monaco. I'm preparing him for a massive speech he's doing soon at his company conference. He's just sold his company for $1.2 billion, 800 cash. And so I'm working with some really high profile, or well, he's not high profile, but I'm working with high performing individuals. I'm going to be dead honest. I'd like more. And so I'm just what I'm going to do is I'm doing more marketing and it's going to be content creation. So I'm doing a podcast myself. I'm doing, it's a great route. You've seen what you've been able to achieve with this fantastic podcast. And so I'm going down that route. Just want to increase my profile to get more demand with a restricted supply, basic economics.
Yep, love it. I love it. Well, for people that are wanting to learn more about what you do, get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I go on LinkedIn, post on there every day, more or less, and it's David Thomas creating presentation rockstars, and I have a website, creatingpresentationrockstars.com.
Amazing. Well, I definitely recommend everyone to check out David on LinkedIn or his website there. You can already hear how much value he'll be able to provide to you. So, David, thank you so much for being on the show, taking the time out today. I really, really do appreciate that. And as a reminder for everyone listening, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way established businesses are creating a reliable acquisition channel of conversations with their ideal prospects that doesn't rely on any of the old, ineffective traditional marketing methods that everybody hates. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn. The link to that will be in the show notes below. And until next episode, stay inspired.